Hello everyone, welcome to day 2 of WAC. Today we are learning about the art of storytelling and how storytelling is the heartbeat of every writer's work. I hope you have your writing materials because we are diving right into it now. What is storytelling? Like the name implies, it is telling a story. It is how a writer presents their story to make a statement to anyone that comes across it. Storytelling is the heartbeat of writing. It is what brings every piece of writing to life. It is what evokes emotions in readers that whenever they read this particular piece of writing, they feel connected to it. It is the storytelling skill. It is the art of storytelling. It is how the writer has presented the story to make it very relatable and interesting to the reader. It increases curiosity and draws the readers into an imaginary world, whether the piece is real or not, whether it is a fictional story or non-fictional story. Your storytelling can take your writers into another world where they are seeing how you are developing the story bit by bit. That is the art of storytelling. It is also a way to connect with the readers, not just to tell them. Imagine you're writing about an eraser and you tell a story about how the eraser came to be. It connects more to the readers because they have seen what is behind this thing. But if you just come and tell them this is an eraser that cleans mistakes that is written in pencil, they are just going to say, oh, that's the importance of the eraser, and now I'm just going to get it when I need it. But when there's a story behind it, when there's a story that you have told them, they will connect to this thing and they will never forget. They will never forget what that thing is. When you watch movies and you find yourself remembering these movies or talking about them over and over again, it's not because it is a visual representation. That's not why you keep talking about it. The reason you keep talking about it is because of the story that they have written properly. The story that took you from every scene, every moment in the movie to the end. Even in books, when you are emotionally attached to books and you will be like, why am I crying? Because of the emotions that it have evoked. Sometimes we read things on Twitter, read stories on Twitter, or we watch ads and we find ourselves resonating to them. That is the storytelling that the person that created these things have put in place for you to feel that way. That's the power of storytelling. That is what storytelling is. Why storytelling matters? This is a common question amongst young writers. Why does storytelling matter? Why do we have to use storytelling when we are not telling actual stories? The simple truth is that facts, if you write about facts, yes, they will inform people, they will educate people on a certain topic. Facts tell people things and stories sell things to people. Even if it is not you selling something, like if you want it to be believable enough, you have to tell a story behind it. Storytelling is how people remember your writing. It's how they mark your writing and how they remember it, how it's memorable to them. So when your readers don't follow you every step of the way and make your writing, like make their reading of your writing an experience, they don't really connect to it. They don't really want to even know about it. That's where storytelling comes in. Storytelling is the ability to make your writers walk through the experience with you, make them emotionally connected to your writing, makes them curious, make them want to know more. Sometimes even make them curious about you, the writer. That is what storytelling is. It's also a way for you to make your stories to be in layers, layers and layers of impact. With every line that they read, they feel something impacted to them because they relate to it. They have an emotional connection with it. That is why storytelling matters. That is exactly why every writer needs to learn the art of story writing to make their readers more curious about what they're writing about. Because who else are you writing for if it's not your readers? Imagine you make a blog post and nobody reads it. It's not as if you don't have audience. Maybe you have audience and they don't actually read it, or they don't react. It does not evoke the emotion that you want it to evoke in them. It just simply means that they never related to it, because humans react to things that they relate to. So if they don't relate to it, they will not react to it. That's where emotional connection is important as writers. This is not for only people that are writing fiction. Both non-fiction, blog writing, inspirational quotes, motivational quotes, normal write-ups, captions. As long as it is writing, storytelling can be part of it. Now let's move on to core elements of a good story. No matter the kind of writer that you are, the foundation of good storytelling is the same. The pillars on which good storytelling are the same for every branch of writing. And the first on that list is clarity. Clarity in the sense that your reader should not struggle to understand exactly what you are trying to say. They should not struggle to understand the information you are trying to pass. It should be clear. The sentences should be simple. Simple language, no bogus language trying to impress anybody, because nobody will be impressed. Instead, they will just pass it. Simple language is straightforward ideas, and simple sentences go a long way in clarity. They just need to be clear. To understand what you're saying, they need to be clear. And instead of going for bogus English and trying to seem like a professor, it is better to just go for the simple languages that people relate more to. Like I said before, it is about how your readers relate to your writing that actually makes you a good writer. If people are not reading it, you're not a good writer by telling yourself that you're a good writer. You're a good writer by how people react to your writing, how it evokes emotions in them, how it makes them feel after they have read what you've written. And that is where storytelling comes in. The next is structure. Every piece of writing needs structure. It needs a beginning, a middle, and an end. No matter how long it is, no matter how short it is, if it is a fiction piece, it needs a beginning, conflict, and resolution. But if it is not fictional, it needs beginning, it needs the middle, and it needs the end. A story or a post, a blog post, a tweet, a write-up, a poem without a structure does not give your writing an even flow. The reader will just go through it and be like, where am I? That's the question they'll be asking themselves. What am I doing here? How did I get here? When they've gone through it and they see that they don't exactly understand what is happening, they want to read it but they don't understand what is happening, that is when your story lacks a structure. It needs a structure. Without a structure, proper storytelling cannot go on. Proper storytelling cannot happen. So you need that structure so that when you start telling a story, when you're writing, it will resonate with them. They will follow you. They will follow you and they will gain clarity. The next on the list is emotional connection. Every powerful piece of writing makes a reader feel something. It could be curiosity, nostalgia, urgency. It might even be excitement. But the emotion, that connection, that emotion that they feel, and the ability for them to relate to it must be there. Even the most informative piece of writing without a story, it can feel very flat and bland. It can just feel empty. It will just be like, what is even here? That's the question you even be asking yourself. Sometimes you read some things and you'll be like, this could be so much more. There's so much potential in this. This can be bigger than it actually is. And most times it's because it lacks storytelling. It lacks a story for people to relate to. It lacks a character for people to care about. And when there's no character to care about, there's really nothing that the reader is reading that piece of writing for. They're just reading it and be like, oh, what's even happening here? So you need to, and people and readers, people, even us that are writers, we do this subconsciously. When we see something that we want to read, and the thing does not exactly appeal to the kind of thing that we want to read, or the kind of thing that we like to read, we'll not read it, we'll pass. Even if it's another writer's work, and you just open it and the first line is not intriguing, the second line is not intriguing, you just find yourself skipping through. There's no connection, there's no relatability, there's no structure, there's no clarity. You will skip through, you will not want to read it. But as writers, that is what we should strive to achieve. We should strive to achieve these things so that our storytelling will be seamless, to be easy. So before you publish anything, before you write and publish anything, ask yourself, is this clear? Is it well structured? And how will you make people feel? How will it make anybody that comes across it feel? How will they see it when they read it? How will they feel when they read it? You need to ask yourself these questions. The hook of your story is like the first impression. Yes, is that thing that people notice first the moment they start reading your piece. It has to be powerful. It has to be strong. It has to have a meaning for people to be able to relate to. Like I said, relatability is everything when it comes to writing. It is everything. It has to just be like people just have to relate to these things. It has to be able to pull people in, evoke their curiosity, make them to want to know what's going to happen next, make them to want to know what exactly you're talking about. It's always advisable to start your story with something unexpected, emotional, or curious. It's good to start a piece of writing like this because when people see something that they like something that challenges their brain, they want to find out more about it. When you start with something unexpected and they'll be like, I did not expect that, it will make them curious to want to know more. Or when you start with a question or you start with something very emotional, they want to move forward in your piece of writing. They want to see what's going to happen next. They are curious. The first law of storytelling is to spike curiosity. You need to be able to know how to spike curiosity. Because curiosity is the only thing that keeps people wanting to. Imagine you're watching a movie and nothing is making you curious. You're just seeing everything play out the way it is. You're just watching it, and by the time you feel like you have a question, they have answered the question. Or when you feel like this character is going to do something, the character will do it immediately. You're not going to be curious about it. You're not going to watch it. You'll just be like, oh, this is so bland. This is so flat. I cannot keep up with it. Another way to hook readers is to make good use of cliffhangers. Not too much cliffhangers, but make use of cliffhangers. Cliffhangers are like suspense at certain parts of your book that make people want to continue reading, that encourages them to keep reading. Just like, for example, when we are watching, that time we used to watch this Z World, and at the end of one end of one episode like that, they will just say somebody have come back, or they will just say something. That's like a cliffhanger, and that will make you you'll be anticipating the next episode like crazy. You'll be like, what's going to happen next? What's going to happen next? That's what cliffhangers are. Just imagine now you are a blog writer and you write blogs and all that, and today you just go on your page and say something happened today, or you'll be like, something exciting happened today, but I'm going to tell you guys about it tomorrow. Subconsciously, people are going to wait for tomorrow to reach to hear what you have to say. Actually, that's a cliffhanger. That's building suspense. That is like feeding off of people's curiosity, making them to want to know more, giving them the space to go and imagine exactly what you want to say and come back and have you say something else. That's how you hook your readers. And another way to hook readers is to make the story as relatable as possible. Just make it relatable. Once people feel like they can relate to it, they will read it. They will read it to the end safe. They will want to know more. They will be so curious. They will be like, I feel like this thing relates to me a lot, so I'm going to see what happens. Maybe to help me solve the issue that I have, or to help me figure out this problem that I'm having. Since that this person in this piece of writing is having this problem, maybe if I read it to the end, I'll have a solution to my problem. And just trust me, people will read once it's relatable. You, as a person that have read so many things, I'm pretty sure you know how relatable content feels to you. You want to read more. These are the things that help you hook your readers. And a hook is very important in storytelling. It cannot be overemphasized. It's very important. Everybody needs to learn to use hooks at the right places, because there are sometimes that cliffhangers are used and it's not necessary there. And people will not be curious. People will just be annoyed that the cliffhangers are becoming too much. So, yes, that is how you use hook in storytelling. How to build flow. Building flow. Good stories flow like conversations. And during conversations, people actually stop to breathe and process what they've been saying. And that's what paragraphs are for in a piece of writing. You're supposed to use paragraphs not because you want to enter into the next thing that you're about to say. It's to break the piece of writing. It's to break it into several parts so that readers will not be like bombarded with too much information. You're not just going to drop a block of information and they'll be trying to struggle to scan through, when you can actually break them down into paragraphs and they read it line by line, and when they are moving to the next paragraph, their brain is processing the previous paragraph that they just read, and it will help them to assimilate and understand the piece better. That is why you should use paragraph breaks. It's not because you're not breaking your writing and losing the flow. Instead, you're even making it flow better by making use of paragraphs. Also, another way to consistently build flow in your writing is to always write your stories to show what you mean, rather than just telling your readers directly, rather than just spelling it out directly. You should learn to show, you should learn to describe what you mean rather than saying what you mean. Instead, okay, let me give you an example. For example, you want to say that a girl is sad. You want to say that this girl is sad. Instead of saying she is sad, you go on to explain what sadness feels like, what sadness look like in a person. That she walks under the rain without even rushing for a shade. Her eyes feel empty and looks as like there's no spark in her eyes. Those kind of explanations. You explain what sadness look like and allow your readers to use their own discretion to know that it's sadness that you are talking about. This goes for every other thing. It means that you are describing, you are showing them what you mean rather than just telling them straight up. And also, every sentence of your writing, every sentence in anything you're writing should either be moving the piece forward or should be revealing something meaningful that will be used in the future when you're still writing that piece. Do you understand? You don't need to start putting unnecessary information just to fill in the blank spaces. It's better that it is short and impactful than for it to be long and full of unnecessary information that nobody's going to read, especially descriptions. Sometimes descriptions are necessary, sometimes, but other times descriptions should not even be in what you are doing. There are sometimes that dialogue can make up for descriptions. You don't always have to use descriptions. And even when you're using descriptions, you have to be very, very intentional about it, because it is very easy for a description to become boring. It is very, very easy for descriptions to become boring. So you need to focus on how you can make sure that every sentence that you write, every sentence you put in this piece is meaningful, is pushing the plot forward, is making the piece better, or is revealing something about it, something that people did not know before. And that will move us to our next slide. Common mistakes in storytelling. This particular one is very, very important. You need to listen carefully. The first one, I think I just talked about it a few seconds ago, is info dumping. Info dumping is like writing all the background details at once. Like when it can be used to build anticipation and curiosity, you just go straight to writing everything at once, explaining everything, or trying to explain everything at once. Sometimes it's good to explain, yes, so that readers will gain clarity, but it is also vital not to explain too much. Be careful about what you're explaining, and be sure you know exactly what you want your readers to know at a particular point in the piece of writing. Don't go ahead of yourself trying to go faster than your shadow, or trying to show them that this thing is interesting. None of that. Don't do that. Try as much as possible not to info dump on them. Don't dump info on them. Don't try to keep explaining and you enter into another thing and you just go on and on. Readers don't want to see that. They want that anticipation, that curiosity that is going to keep them reading the piece till the end. So info dumping is not a good thing, especially when it's at the beginning of a book. Like you want to start a book, you not start the book with something like, she woke up in the morning and she stared she stared through the window, the leaves were rustling on the tree. There are sometimes that is interesting, but it's not interesting when you just keep going on and on and on about it. You just keep talking and start describing everything about her. There are some things that you need to leave to your viewer's discretion. There are some things that you need to leave to their imagination for them to be able to piece it together and actually enjoy what you've written. They need to be able to have some power by imagining things themselves, experiencing it themselves. Another one is telling the story, or telling the story basically without showing some parts of it. It's good to tell stories, yes. It's not as if it's not good, it's good. But sometimes, especially when it comes to emotional things, you should learn to like show them, like describe the emotion, describe how the character feels, or describe the emotion that the person at that point felt. And it helps to make them connect emotionally with your piece. It helps them understand the piece better when you're showing them instead of telling them. And next on that list is cliches. We are fond of wanting to write the same things over and over again. Things that people have written, things that so many people have written. We want to keep on writing them because you have seen that it has been successful over the years. So you believe that as long as you're writing it, it will keep being. So you should you should make use of your creativity. That is the whole point of being a writer. If you cannot make use of your creativity and make up things yourself and come up with your own with your own things and pieces, and in your niche, you come up with your own ideas, then there's a problem. You need to learn to make use of your creative mind. As a writer, you have a very creative mind, and you need to be able to explore. Learn to explore. Even if you have a job that is fixing you in a box, at your own time, learn to explore. Even if you're writing for a client that has already given you what they want you to write, at your own time, learn to explore so you don't lose your creativity. Because in as much as we feel like we cannot lose creativity because we think we are born with it, it is possible, especially when it's dormant for a while. You will not completely lose it, but it will take you a while to go back into that space where you were very creative. So don't allow that part of you to die. Learn to be creative and leave cliche things. Leave cliche things for Korean movies. Leave cliche things. Leave cliche stories. It will help you a lot. Try to be creative. Try to write your pieces in a different format from the ones you have seen before. Challenge yourself to become more creative, to become more delusional. That's writers are very delusional. Challenge yourself to become more delusional, and you can do it. And that brings us to the end of our class. And the assignment for today is write 150 to 200 words on any prompt or your own life story. Implement everything we've learned in this class. And the submission deadline is before 9 a.m. tomorrow. Thank you very much for being part of this class. Don't forget to ask your questions in the comments. Today I'll try to make that comment place available. But if it's not, you ask your questions in the WhatsApp group, and that will be all for now. Bye.